They underestimate the very endurance they used against you. They assume that because you tolerated the behavior for so long, you will tolerate it forever. They do not understand that for the type of person who survives a narcissist, there is a firm psychological limit. There is a moment where the survival system changes direction. This is the moment of awakening. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in the smallest situation. You are driving home after another argument and suddenly feel a deep, heavy exhaustion, the kind that sinks into your bones. No tears, no panic, just a clear and steady truth rising inside you. I cannot keep living like this. This awakening almost never feels dramatic or cinematic. It feels obvious. It rarely happens in the heat of confrontation. It usually happens in silence. It happens while commuting home from work, when a wave of fatigue hits you so deeply it feels like it lives in your marrow. It happens when you watch them sleep, and instead of love or anxiety, you feel nothing at all. You look at the person who ruled your emotional world for years, and suddenly they look small. They look ordinary. Carl Jung described individuation as the process of becoming who you truly are. He believed this often requires the collapse of a false self. A relationship with a narcissist forces this collapse. You tried every role. You tried being the perfect partner. You tried being the healer. You tried being the caretaker. And eventually you saw that none of it changed anything. You reach a point of ego death. The part of you that needed their approval to exist simply fades away. You realize that no matter what you do, they will never truly see you. You realize that their promises to change are just words used to buy more time. And in that realization, the fear of losing them disappears. It is replaced by a deeper understanding. I am losing myself, and that is the only loss I cannot survive. The shift shows itself in moments like this. It is a Friday night. They start an argument the same way they always have. They accuse you of being selfish because you want to see your family. In the past, you would have engaged. You would have cried. You would have explained yourself. You would have canceled your plans to prove your devotion. But this time, something is different. You hear the words, but they do not land. You see the anger, but it does not scare you. You recognize the manipulation. They are trying to make you feel guilty, so you stay and take care of them. You can see the structure of it, like watching the gears inside a machine. And because you see it clearly, you do not react. You calmly say, "I understand you feel that way," and you keep packing your bag. This is the moment you move from being the target to being the observer. The narcissist depends on your emotional reactions to maintain their sense of control. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining and defending yourself, you signal that you have stepped out of their reality. You have left the game. This awakening is often followed by a deep emotional flatness or depression. Do not be afraid of this. Jung taught that depression can be a necessary descent into the unconscious. It is your psyche forcing you to stop. Your exhaustion is telling you that the old way of living is no longer sustainable. It is pulling your energy away from the narcissist and back toward yourself. You are not depressed because you are broken. You are depressed because you are tired of holding up a false story. You are tired of trying to fix someone who refuses to heal. You are tired of betraying your own instincts every single day. When you finally admit to yourself, "I cannot live like this anymore," you are not giving up. You are claiming sovereignty. You are acknowledging that the cost of the relationship is greater than its value. You see that you were always alone inside the bond, and instead of terrifying you, this truth frees you. If you were already alone, then you have nothing to lose by leaving. The survivor outlasts the narcissist because they eventually realize the relationship was never a lifeline. It was an anchor. And the endurance that kept you holding on for so long is the same strength you will use to cut yourself free. Your shift destabilizes the narcissist because it removes the one thing their entire inner world depends on, your emotional participation. When you move from being part of the drama to observing the pattern, you disrupt the foundation of the relationship. Their collapse begins with a simple truth. It was never your love they needed. It was your energy. They do not need love the way healthy people do. They need energy. This energy, often called narcissistic supply, is any form of attention that confirms their existence and stabilizes their fragile self-worth. This supply comes in two forms, and both are valuable. Positive supply is admiration, praise, and affection. Negative supply is anger, tears, and frustration. If they can make you smile, they feel powerful. But if they can make you cry, scream, or lose sleep, they feel even more powerful. Your emotional reactions prove to them that they matter and that they control your inner world. But when you awaken, you stop reacting. You enter neutrality. You stop explaining yourself because you see they are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop defending yourself because you know the accusations are invented. You stop fighting for the relationship because you see there is no relationship to save. You simply exist, calm and undisturbed. This neutrality is devastating to the narcissist. It destroys their ability to regulate themselves. Jung described psychic energy as a vital force that moves between people. When you withdraw your attention, you are withdrawing that energy from their system. They feel the loss intensely. They feel the empty space where your devotion once lived. When the narcissist senses this shift, and they will sense it immediately, panic sets in. Because they cannot self-regulate, they cycle through predictable tactics to force a reaction from you. First, they usually try charm. This is hoovering. They suddenly become the person you once fell for. Kind, attentive, magnetic. They may give gifts, suggest trips, or apologize for old behavior. They are trying to make you forget the harm and focus on the fantasy. But because you are awake, you see this kindness for what it is, a transaction, a bribe meant to buy your compliance. If charm fails, they turn to guilt. They play the victim. They say you have changed, that you are cold, that you are abandoning them when they need you most. They may invent a crisis or illness to trigger your caretaker instinct. They are trying to turn your empathy into a weapon. When guilt fails, they move to anger. They attack your character, your appearance, your abilities. They want a fight because a fight means connection. But you do not fight. You stay calm. You respond briefly and factually. This lack of reaction shatters their illusion of control. When direct tactics fail, the conflict moves into the public space. If they cannot control you directly, they try to control how others see you. This is indirect warfare. Triangulation is often the first step. They bring a third person into the dynamic to provoke jealousy or insecurity. A new romantic interest, an ex, a friend, even a family member. They talk about how this person understands them better than you. They compare you negatively. They hint at attention from others. The goal is not always infidelity. The goal is to make you compete, to make you anxious, to pull you back into chasing their approval. Jung described this as shadow projection. They project their own emptiness onto you. They feel replaceable, so they try to make you feel replaceable. But when you are awake, you do not compete. You see that anyone who tries to make you jealous is exposing their own insecurity. The second tool of indirect warfare is the smear campaign. When they realize they are losing control, they fear exposure. To protect their image, they attack your reputation first. They lie. They twist reality. They accuse you of the very behaviors they engaged in. This is projection. They confess by accusation. This creates a strong urge in you to defend yourself, to explain, to prove the truth. But engaging only feeds the narrative. Calm consistency defeats it. The people who know you will see the truth. The ones who believe the lies were never safe for you anyway. Truth does not need loud defense. It reveals itself over time. By refusing to react to both direct attacks and indirect manipulation, you demonstrate freedom. You no longer need their validation. You no longer need approval from those they influenced. You stand rooted in your own reality. This is why only one type of person survives a narcissist. Not the strongest, not the loudest, but the one who endured long enough to awaken and who finally chose themselves. The narcissist depends on outside reactions to understand who they are. Without your response reflecting power back to them and without your involvement in their social games, they begin to mentally break down. They are forced to face the reality that their manipulation no longer works. You are the only kind of person who can cause this collapse because you are the only one who knows them closely enough to see through every layer of their mask. When you refuse to play, the game ends. You are not trying to win anymore. You are simply choosing not to take part. And for a narcissist, being ignored feels worse than death. This collapse can only be triggered by one type of person, the survivor who sees the narcissist clearly enough to stop feeding the illusion that kept them going. What comes next is the next truth, the unexpected weapon only the survivor can use, and it needs no words at all. Silence becomes a weapon the moment it stops feeding the narcissist's need for control, and yours is the first silence they cannot twist or manipulate. Many people misunderstand silence and believe it is passive. They think that if you are not speaking, you are doing nothing. They believe that if you do not defend yourself, you are accepting abuse. But when it comes to surviving a narcissist, silence is not passive. It is the most direct and effective action you can take. It is a deliberate withdrawal of your energy that strikes at the core of the narcissist mind. There is a reason your words never worked before. Throughout the relationship, you believed that if you explained yourself clearly enough, they would finally understand. You thought sharing your fears, feelings, and vulnerabilities would create closeness. You believed communication would build connection, but you were not creating intimacy. You were giving information. Every time you shared what scared you, you handed them instructions on how to hurt you. Every time you explained why their behavior upset you, you showed them exactly which buttons to press to control you. The narcissist does not see communication as a way to connect. They see it as a way to collect information. They used your words to study your mind so they could move around your defenses. This is why your approach must change. You stop trying to be understood. You stop trying to be heard. You practice emotional containment. This is often called becoming a gray rock, but it goes deeper than appearing bored. It means closing the doors of your mind. Carl Jung taught that the shadow holds the parts of ourselves we refuse to face. The narcissist carries a large and frightening shadow. Beneath the charm and arrogance is deep shame, insecurity, and emptiness. They lack the strength to face it. They cannot sit alone with themselves, because the voice of self-hatred is too loud. So they use you to distract themselves. They create drama, conflict, and noise to avoid their inner emptiness. They need you emotional. They need you crying, arguing, explaining, or begging. As long as you are loud, they do not have to listen to themselves. Your reactions protect them from their own reality. When you become silent, that protection disappears. This is why your silence is so powerful. Picture sitting on the couch scrolling your phone. They walk in expecting a reaction, comfort, or explanation, but you give nothing. Your calm forces them into the place they fear most, their own inner world. When the outside noise ends, the inside noise grows. By refusing to engage, you make them sit with their shadow. Anxiety rises, boredom appears, which for a narcissist feels like emotional death. They rely on your feedback to know they exist. Without it, they feel lost. To do this, you change how you exist around them. You do not ignore them, because that invites conflict. You become uninteresting, Your voice stays flat. No emotion, no drama, nothing for them to grab. Your answers are short and simple. When they attack your character, you do not defend yourself. You say, "I hear your opinion." When they pull up old arguments, you say, "I have nothing new to add." When they ask what you are thinking, you answer with facts. "I'm thinking about dinner." You share nothing meaningful. Your thoughts, plans, and emotions stay locked away. You are there physically, but mentally you have left. This shift creates a strong reaction in the narcissist. They often become suspicious. Jung explained that people project their hidden traits onto others. The narcissist deceives, so they assume deception in you. When you stop sharing, they think you are plotting or hiding something. They may accuse you of cheating. They may demand your phone. They ask why you are so quiet. They are not asking because they care. They are afraid they lost control. They want any reaction to prove they still matter to you. But silence does more than frustrate them. It heals you. For years, your inner world was filled with their voice. You replayed insults, imagined arguments, and analyzed their behavior. Even when quiet on the outside, you were loud inside. You were still giving them energy. True silence means stopping the inner conversation too. It means removing them from your thoughts. When you catch yourself replaying something they said, you stop and redirect your focus back to your life. This is where Jung's idea of the self matters. He believed the self is the center of who we are, but the narcissist noise drowned out your own voice. You lost touch with your instincts because you were busy managing them. In silence, your intuition returns. You remember who you were before the relationship. You remember what you enjoy. You remember your values. The quiet pulls your energy back into yourself. You are rebuilding your inner world. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. Guilt may appear. You may feel cold or cruel. The narcissist will accuse you of being abusive for not opening up. They will try to use your empathy against you. But protecting your mind is not abuse. Boundaries are not cruelty. You are not punishing them. You are surviving. You are reclaiming your right to privacy. You are setting a line they cannot cross. They may shout at it or insult it, but they cannot break it unless you allow them to. Silence is the one argument they cannot win. They cannot twist words that are not spoken. They cannot gaslight a blank response. You become a mirror reflecting only their behavior. Because they cannot face what they see, they eventually stop looking. They realize the supply is gone. They see you are no longer a source for them. This is the turning point. You stop being a character in their story and become the author of your own. You no longer wait for them to change or understand. You validate yourself. You answer your own questions. You become whole in your own quiet strength. If you have ever had to move forward alone, guided only by will, your story may help someone else survive. The narcissist never sees your exit coming because they confuse endurance with dependence. They mistake silence for surrender. That mistake is why your departure feels sudden and deep. By the time you leave, the goodbye already happened inside you. They believe patience means you will stay forever. But for the survivor, patience is camouflage while the heart detaches. That is why when you leave, it feels calm and final. Even when you pull away, their ego protects them from truth. They believe they are too important. They think you cannot live without them. They see silence as acceptance. They do not understand that survivors leave mentally long before they leave physically. The real separation happens quietly over time. You detach while doing daily tasks. You grieve privately. You process the anger alone. You untangle your nervous system slowly. So when the day comes, it is not emotional. It is clear. It happens on an ordinary day. You realize you are done. No panic, no drama, just certainty. When you leave or disappear, they are shocked. They feel injured because they believed you belonged to them. Jung described this as unconscious fusion. The narcissist does not see you as separate. They see you as an extension, like a limb that suddenly walks away. This is why their reaction is extreme. They are not fighting for love. They are trying to regain control. But the survivor does not return. You did not leave to punish them. You left because you outgrew the cage. You saw the door was always open. After leaving, your mind may try to trick you. It will highlight good memories and hide the pain. This is withdrawal. You may feel the urge to reach out. The narcissist may send small messages to test you. Any reply gives them access again. Silence is the only answer. Most people stay stuck waiting for an apology that will never come. Closure does not come from them. It comes from you. Closure is knowing what happened and choosing yourself. Leaving without a final argument is the final act of freedom. You stop checking on them. You stop caring about their outcome. You walk forward into your own life. The only person who survives a narcissist is the one who eventually leaves. You are not weak for staying. You are strong for waking up. You were tested, not broken. The relationship taught you that your worth does not come from another person. You survived because you have something they never will, wholeness. And now your life truly begins.